As you may already know, we're dedicating most of our broadcast next Wednesday to a live special focusing on mental health. It's going to be called Stop the Stigma, a conversation about mental health. And we want to remove the shame and blame from the discussion around mental illness diagnoses. This morning, as part of our commitment to tackling issues surrounding mental health, we're looking at post-traumatic stress. About 8 million adults experience it during any given year, and our lead national correspondent, David Begnaud, shows us a powerful play written and performed by military veterans. It is called Last Out, and David is here to help us understand it all. Good morning.
Good morning. So this is a play that caters not only to people in the audience, but also to those on stage who are putting it on, right? Wherever you are watching this, just pause for a moment. I want you to be able to sort of reflect and see what we saw when we went to watch the play in Chicago. This is put on by a man who spent more than 20 years in the service, and in dealing with his own PTS, decided to write a play. Watch this.
We get an eagle down. Stevie, who are you working on? Stevie, who you... That's me. That's me.
Has your time in the service affected your mental health?
Yes, it has. For a lot of years, I pushed down a lot of the aspects of combat that I didn't understand, whether it was survivor's guilt or mood swings or a lot of the indicators of post-traumatic stress. I pushed them down because I wanted to stay in the fight.
Scott Mann was a U.S. Army Green Beret who got deployed 12 times in 11 years. He's retired as a lieutenant colonel.
You can save your own life. You let those boys go, or your own fathers are going to kill you nice and slow.
His story is told on the stage. Finish this sentence for me. This play for me is...
A way to heal. Yeah, it's, I didn't know that when I started. And maybe that's a little bit selfish, but that's just what came up when you said that. That's what it's been for me, is it's been an opportunity to just deal with and process and face a lot of the things that I was struggling to either talk about or to express.
Since it's Ricky and Danny that are in that...
The play he wrote and stars in is all about the trauma of war.
I saw Dr. Diego this week, and he said that's normal for post-traumatic stress.
No. That'll get me pulled off this deployment. What this is about me being faster.
No, this is about you calling the doc.
That'll get me pulled off this deployment. Maybe when I get back.
Promise me.
We'll see.
We gotta do something, baby. You're grinding your molars into a dust.
I'm good.
No, you're not.
I'm not used to seeing people like you be so vulnerable.
That makes two of us.
2 things for you, 3 things for you.
Our
Scene,
director,
2 lines,
AIM,
and 1 for
she said, because it's 3 combat veterans and then AIM is a military family member, so one of the things that she said to us right out of the gate.
In war, if you're vulnerable, you get killed. But on stage, if you're not vulnerable, it will kill you.
Every time you have an eagle down, I'm back here putting the nest back into the tree.
Look, baby,
You.
What's your target audience?
When I started, it was civilians who I felt like didn't understand fully that we are 18 years into this war. My oldest son, Cody, was 3 when the towers fell. He'll be an Army lieutenant next year, likely going over to fight the war that I didn't finish.
There are several scenes in the play which can trigger flashbacks.
Ricky, I'm coming. Stay down, son. I'm coming, Ricky. Where are you? Ricky!
Baby.
What the
It's just me. It's just me. See?
We saw it happen to Scott on stage at a rehearsal. That man treating him.
So just kind of follow my hand.
And this crew member is Diego Hernandez. He is a clinical therapist who travels with the show. And even treats members of the audience. While we were there, Dan Miller's heart rate increased rapidly as he was watching the play.
It raced up to
His smartwatch alerted paramedics. He is a 50-year-old former Marine whose post-traumatic stress was triggered.
Brings back memories of things, in the past that happened, and the loss, the denial.
Taking a little bit of a deeper breath.
Once the paramedics cleared him, Diego Hernandez treated him.
I feel good.
When talking about post-traumatic stress, Diego and Scott Mann intentionally leave off the D for disorder.
We need to take the D off. We need to start treating this thing like an injury, not an illness, so that these very, very high-performing people can get back in the game and lead us, because we need them.
All these guys gone and you want me to just let go.
Yes, I do, Danny. This isn't your fault.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because I gotta set right. There's no other way out.
The more committed we are to the story, the more the veterans just settle in, and you can just feel them going for the ride. And when it's over, you just see the look in their eyes, that it was just, hey, thanks for telling my story, man. It's just that. And you did right by them.
Treating the people who were triggered as they watched the play was really the most powerful part.
Yeah.
Hernandez averages about 5 PTS outreaches per city. That's more than 160 since the show began. And the outreach continues tonight as the show begins a run of 3 performances of Last Out in Cincinnati.
It's clearly cathartic, it seems, for all involved. And I think he makes a really good point, which I hadn't thought of until he said it, about taking off the D.
Yeah.
That's another form of stigma, really, when you think about it. Calling it a disorder.
And treating it like an injury that can be rehabilitated so you can move on.
All right, David, thank you so much. And you can join us next Wednesday for our live special Stop the Stigma, a conversation about mental health. The show will include Queer Eye star and mental health advocate Karamo. We'll also be joined by people who have personal experience with mental illness and by experts in the field. Over the next week, celebrities and other high-profile folks are among those sharing their stories on our digital platforms. Today, former Missouri Secretary of State Jason Kander tells us about his experience with post-traumatic stress following military service.